Hello, book person. I am another book person. My name is Julia. Welcome back to my channel. Every single year, Goodreads makes a list of their most popular books across every genre on the platform, and they open a voting session. After the voting session is done, winners all get that little seal of approval on their cover inside of the platform. It says Goodreads Choice Awards winner 2025, 2015, etc. And every single year, Goodreads goes through exactly the same wave of criticism. Your nominees are not diverse enough. That statement has always bothered me a little bit. I let that discussion go many times because I've been on the platform for 15 years, if not more, and I love it. You know, I'm a creature of habit. I am a Taurus sun, moon, and Mars, okay? I appreciate consistency. Unless your reasoning behind not supporting Goodreads is not supporting Amazon, then that's an entirely different conversation, right? Let's not pretend that the monopoly that Amazon has on reading today hasn't affected every person involved, including authors. It's actually really difficult to support authors you love nowadays if you're not willing to buy their audiobook on Audible, if you're not willing to read their book on Kindle Unlimited. Do I wish things were different? Of course, but wishing it and getting it are completely separate things. I use the Libby app from my library as much as I possibly can. I always avoid buying brand new physical copies of books unless I read it already in some other format from my library and I know 100% sure that I've developed an emotional attachment to it, and that's when I go and try to purchase the physical copy because I know I'm going to want it to have it on my shelf. I know I'm going to want to keep it forever or reread it eventually. I do allow myself to thrift physical copies just to read a book for the first time because it feels nice, you know. I'm supporting the thrifting community. When I buy a used book, I don't feel sorry about writing in the margins, dog-earing the pages. Bring my thrifted books to the sauna with me, to the gym. I get sweat and water on them, and I really don't care for them that much because they already used, so I'm just adding a little bit of texture to them, you know, and it's fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, I will always succumb to the convenience of Amazon shopping experience because I own a Kindle. Sometimes it really feels like there's very little we can do nowadays to step away from the meaty, dirty claw hands of Amazon services. But I digress. What got me to make this video today was that I stumbled upon a video from Goodreads editorial team where they explained their process, just chatted about the process of picking the nominees for this year. And here is pretty much what they said.
Every fall, we take a deep dive into readers' favorite books of the year so far, and those books go on to become nominees in the Goodreads Choice Awards.
300 books across 15 categories. These books represent the books that you, the readers, have said are your favorites of 2025.
And now it's your turn, because the winners of the Goodreads Choice Awards are always determined by you, the readers. And here's how it works. First, you will select your favorite books from the top 20 nominees in each category. Then the top 10 will advance to the next round, the final round of voting. So remember to come back and vote for that.
Winners will be announced on December 4th. Check out the nominees, vote for your favorites, and
happy voting, everyone.
Every year we select nominees from your most read books of the year or readers' favorites of the year. These books represent books that you, the readers, have said it is your favorite in 2025. And the winners are also chosen by you. They must have said you, the reader, like 27 times in this 1-minute video. So you can tell that they're also pretty sick and tired of receiving the same exact backlash every single year. And it makes so much sense to me now, and I realize I should have seen it ages ago. Yes, Goodreads belongs to Amazon. The reason these companies have us in the palm of their hands is because they basically keep constant tabs on us and everything they do. They know what you're purchasing, they know what you're consuming, they know what you're watching on your television. You have Alexas inside of your homes. They know what you're talking about. They know every single dirty little stinky romance novel that you download on your Kindle Unlimited thinking no one is going to see that you're reading. They keep tabs on all of us, and they have the most valuable piece of information, which is what we are consuming, reading, purchasing, putting our money on, and the things that we want the most. And they also know the things that we are more willing to buy again, to vote for. The Goodreads book community has been screaming every single year about the lack of diversity in the nominees, but we forgot to look in the mirror. We are Goodreads. If Goodreads is mainly white, straight, American cowboy Allie Hazelwood, it means that is all that we are reading on that platform. In troves, we are reading and rating these novels, the same novels, the highest we've ever rated anything else. And I'm going to take the liberty here of focusing on romance and romantasy, because that's where I see the complaint come from the most. Usually it is romance and romantasy readers who are sick and tired of not seeing diversity in their romance nominees every year. The same breath that you are coming to the internet to complain about this, that we should not be supporting this platform, that they are not diverse enough, you are still reading on your Kindle. You are still subscribed to the Kindle Unlimited. You are still purchasing all their audiobooks. Honey, you hate the system? We are the system. Why are you here getting pissy at me, us, Goodreads, when you spent the last 2 years raving psychotically about this pale, thin, wet noodle of a girl who, mind you, is not only white but has white hair, who has a disability of some kind but very conveniently forgets about her disability to have hardcore sex with her shadow daddy, spent the last 3 years reading this stuff over and over again and raving about it to the point where they're giving movie deals to every single one of them. Netflix, Amazon, whatever you want, they're gonna buy it and they're gonna watch it because have been doing it for the past 5 years and nothing's gonna change. And not only white, skinny, frail, white-haired, but also a teenager. The reason I stopped reading romance for the past year is because it's been so hard to find women my age writing women my age. That is an entire different video that I'm probably going to try to record today because I have a lot to say about that as well. Goodreads is nothing but a data website. They are collecting data. Amazon has been collecting the data on us. Is there something to be said about the logic and the way that Goodreads is going about these nominees? For sure. For example, I hate the fact that Ali Hazelwood is allowed to have not one, but 2 books in the same category. The same goes for this author named Bryn Weaver or something. She also got 2 nominations in the same category. And I think that that shouldn't be allowed. I think that's very unfair. I think these authors should only be allowed to have one of their books within the category. And it seems to me that they also follow some kind of release date cutoff, and I wish they were a little more open about what that release cutoff is if people want to participate in the next year. And they also recently just added the romantasy to the list of categories. I think romantasy was not a thing in 2023 or maybe 2022. And fine, if people are reading it, talking about it, I rather have a romantasy increment there. It's only fair to create its own category so it doesn't obliterate the chances of actual fantasy novels that have maybe romance as a subplot or no romance at all to win inside of the fantasy category or fantasy science fiction category. I believe that the fantasy and science fiction categories are also separate, but here is what Goodreads said when they were questioned about their process in the comments of that Instagram video. The Goodreads Choice Awards reflect the books that are most popular with our members, and that is it. Goodreads is not the devil. There is no lack of diversity because of Goodreads. There is lack of diversity in Goodreads readers, and that reflects on the nominees every year. Goodreads is not lacking diversity. You are. Your shelf is. I'm really sorry to burst your bubble, but if you only read Ali Hazelwood and Emily Henry year after year after year, you are going to see Ali Hazelwood and Emily Henry on your nominees. There's nothing more to it. There's not this bigger plan or scheme. We're dealing with data here. We're dealing with facts and percentages. And even if you want to sit here and tell me, oh, Goodreads is messing with that data, Goodreads is shifting this data to bring them more sales, they don't need to do that. The fourth wing book that's coming out is still gonna sell 3 billion copies. Goodreads doesn't need to try. And that's what I've been trying to say with every single video that I post. They know us. They know what we want. They know what we look for. And it's not diversity. I'm sorry to burst your happy little fairy bubble. It is not diversity. We are not looking for diversity. Do I wish things were different? 100%. Do I wish we were better as readers? 100%. And we should also be yelling at publishers. I don't see anyone yelling at publishing companies for giving out book deals to YouTubers and TikTokers who have a million gazillion followers and not giving book deals to people of color, to immigrants. Sometimes I feel like the book community is very selective with their rage. I never see rage geared towards publishing companies because our content book creators want to give free stuff out of those publishing companies. They want the status that come with it. They want the free advanced readers copies. They want to be in touch with them. They want to keep that relationship. And for them to keep that relationship, they can't talk shit about them. So who are they going to talk shit about? Goodreads is the selected clown of today's show. And Goodreads every single year gets so much crap. And like I said, if your problem is with Amazon, I really hope that you're walking your talk. I really hope that you do not have a Kindle. I really hope that you do not have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. I really hope that you do not listen to any of your audiobooks on Audible. I really, really hope that you do not buy your soap, your shampoo, or the latest Korean skincare face mask from Amazon. And if you really want to remove it from the roots, you gotta walk the talk, right? But people don't do that. People just like feeling this sort of moral superiority for pointing their finger at someone and saying, I'm a better person than you because I read diversely and you don't. Or because I wished you found diverse books to put on the nominee list and not used my own reading history that I am putting on the app for free for you to see. Do you see where I'm coming from here? I posted an entire rant on Instagram yesterday because I was so pissed after seeing people complain about the lack of diversity on the Goodreads nominees over and over again. And some of you had so much to say that I agree with, and I appreciate you guys going at it with me and debating with me and giving all the pieces of information. I'm gonna highlight someone named Fully Booked Millennial. Her name is Sam on Instagram, and she sent me a voice audio that I would love to share with you. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. Sam, take it away.
It genuinely baffles me every single year that we have people who are like, let's amplify these voices, and they give you a list of books that I've genuinely never heard of. And they're like, these are the books that should be on the Goodreads Choice Awards. And it's like, first of all, this is the first I'm hearing you mention this book by this Indigenous author. So it's not listed anywhere else on your page. So like, how can you sit there and say that, like, it's Goodreads' fault when you have 30,000 followers and you could have told them all to read this Indigenous book and you didn't? But now, in reaction to Goodreads, we're going to do it. It makes no sense. Like, you have 4 ACOTAR edits in the last 8 weeks, 3 posts about Emily Henry, 64 posts about Allie Hazelwood, and 2 about diverse authors, and they're all compiled. And it's like, here's a list of Black authors and Asian authors. And it's like, if you want to amplify these voices, just amplify them normally on your regular page every day to your thousands of followers, so that when this happens, we don't have to sit here, hear you complaining about how terrible Goodreads is for being so whitewashed. Like, it's baffling to me. It's baffling.
Sam, thank you so much for that audio. That made my day. Every time you guys get as upset as I am at things, it makes me feel less insane, a little bit less insane every single day. And it's everything that she said. It's like, why do you only decide to amplify those voices after the list of nominees come out, and you do it as a response to Goodreads, and you don't walk the talk throughout the entire year? You had the entire year as a book content creator with 30,000, 100,000, 200,000 something followers to actually amplify those voices and talk about Indigenous books all year long. Why do you only talk about Indigenous books on Indigenous month or whatever? Why do you only talk about LGBTQ books on LGBTQ month? Sam said to me makes so much sense, and it made me even angrier at all of this because they love to complain. I feel like maybe this is just an internet thing as a whole as well. They love to complain. They love to point fingers because they love to feel superior and to be able to tell someone that they're doing something wrong. I spoke about this quite a few times, where videos that are made hating on something, causing drama, always get a lot more engagement than the videos reviewing the Indigenous book. And there is something that Goodreads proves to me year after year after year, that lack of diversity is there, even when people make the video saying, hey, here's the list of diverse authors I think you should read. And then the comment section is like, yes, that's amazing, that's incredible, I can't wait to get to them. You're not getting to them, are you? If you were getting to them on a yearly basis, if you were actually reading diverse books would be represented in a data website. And that's the end of it. And then I posted that same sentiment on my Goodreads, and I received a comment that pushed me to what is going to be the second part of this video. Let me read that. And the comment was from Baggins My Frodo, Amazing name, by the way. I agree. For those upset about the lack of diversity, look at your own shelf, pun intended. This should be an introspective speculation for oneself, not aimed at the Goodreads community at large. Reading is about enjoying oneself, not ticking boxes. I may want to read space operas written by the same author for an entire year, and that's my prerogative. No one is going to dictate to me what I can or can't be reading. And that brings me to my next point. And I might get hardcore canceled for this next session of this video. People might not see eye to eye with me on this. And that's okay. If that happens, I will take it as a sign that maybe YouTube is not for me, maybe social media is not for me, and I shouldn't be doing this and I shouldn't be here, and I'll just move on with my life, okay? If that happens, it will be my sign that it's time to let go and that maybe it's time for me to find actual community somewhere else. I don't know. I will say what I need to say. And if I get extreme backlash for it and people tell me to delete my channel, maybe I will, okay? Maybe I'll just be like, I tried. I'll move on now. See you later. One of the reasons why I stepped away from the reading community as a whole on social media, and one of the reasons why I never even joined TikTok, I tried once and I was like, nope, it's not gonna happen, was not only because of the hypocrisy of it all, but because of the performance. We as a community spent years going after book creators for never recommending diverse enough books. But when they are recommended in an almost performative fashion, to the point where I'm not sure if you're putting together a list of diverse authors to read because you actually read them, or because you want applause for saying that you do, or out of fear and pure pressure to appease the internet bullies. And I've said it before, the Goodreads nominees list shows me every single year that we are not as effective as pushing diverse reads as we think we are. Goodreads is one of the many mirrors of our community. The fact that these authors are the most popular romance authors is also a mirror of our community. And I believe that one of the many reasons for that, other than the obvious ones, like publishers not betting on diverse authors and choosing to bet on YouTubers with millions of followers and TikTokers with millions of followers instead, and marginalized communities not being given the incentive and the access to join creative fields. And not only because of the fact that we say that we read diversely and we don't, but mainly because when you join an online reading community, you will 100% get attacked at least once or twice about your reading choices. I believe we lack diversity. I believe we are failing at this diversity ladder climb because whenever we receive new readers into our spaces and whenever new readers join Bookstagram, BookTok, BookTube, there is a little trove of witch hunters that will 100% comment with as much rage and contempt as they possibly can, and they will eventually not be able to hold themselves back from saying, oh, you're reading this author? They're problematic, and you're problematic too. And you are a garbage human being for not knowing that. Oh, you're reading this person, but not this person? Wow. Wow, it's good to know how shitty of a person you are. Wow. And the brand new reader who just joined Bookstagram and BookTok for the first time ever is sitting there with the book in hands, a book the community recommended, by the way, getting canceled and peer pressured into apologizing to a group of, God knows, 15-year-olds because they read a book that was recommended to them. Shocked Pikachu face, please. I know we went through a very intense period where cancel culture was everything, right? But let's be honest, real diverse and mature readers, most of them are not even online. This is just our bubble that we create around ourselves, and we think it represents the entire world, and it doesn't. There are a lot of mature, diverse readers who are just going to the library, picking up the books that they want to read, learning more about different cultures, languages, and people, and just moving on with their lives and changing their inner selves and not needing to platform that and not needing to perform that to other people to get the applause for being diverse. Real readers who touch some grass and live outside of the internet are not sitting there writing a list of problematic authors and pushing that list around to see how many people are going to start making videos so everyone stops reading that problematic author. Real readers are making an effort to read outside of what the market is pushing. Real readers are making an effort to read outside of their comfort zones every once in a while. And I do not want to get deep into politics here, but I am a registered Democrat in the state of California before you start shitting on me. Moving on. But I am reasonable enough to look at our community and look at the way that we treat each other and say, hey, maybe the way that we are approaching this whole thing is not the best way. If you are looking to convince a group of people, if your goal in life, as you love to point out that it is, to bring more diversity into other people's lives, you are looking to chaperone this new reader into a brand new world of beautiful, diverse stories and in beautiful, diverse languages and backgrounds and authors, instead of saying, hey, let me recommend this book that I think you will love. Give it a chance, and maybe I'll read something that you love in exchange. You are saying, oh, how convenient, reading a white woman, huh? Oh, now a white man? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
A white man? No! Well, what does security do about it?
Nothing.
Typical!
We have been leading our cause with anger and hurt and shame for way too long. I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but your lack of flexibility, it's not what's going to convince a person to read more diversely. Your lack of flexibility is not going to bring more people into our cause. And then there is a group of people that always says, it's not my responsibility to diversify your reading. It is not my responsibility to make sure that you know what's good, you know what's right to do or not. So what is the point of being a book content creator if you're not trying to spread other people's voices, if it is not your responsibility to make sure someone sees the light? So what are you doing here? What kind of activism is this? So you think it's your responsibility to hold other people accountable when they don't do what you want them to do, when they don't view the world the way that you do. But then when I tell you, hey, you're part of this thing too. You're also responsible for amplifying these voices. And then you said, no, it's not my responsibility to make sure that person is, left-leaning, right-leaning, whatever leaning you want. It is your responsibility. If you're an activist, that's the whole meaning of it. But here is the reality, and I'm going to hold your hand as I say this, but the microphone instead. People do not like being talked down to. People do not like being patronized. People don't want to be looked at as if they're maggots at the bottom of your shoe, staring back at you on top of your morally superior white horse, while being told they are not good enough because they don't see the world the way that you do, or they don't read the way that you do. Being told that they are shitty human beings because they haven't developed your worldview yet, or your range of diversity. And I'm obviously not talking about actually racist people here, guys. Actually homophobic people. There is a difference. There is a difference between a violent, terrible person who doesn't want to hear it and just a bystander who just joined a reading community and wants to learn more and maybe didn't have access to what was going on around here. Or maybe a person who was raised inside of a strict religion. Or even your grandmother and your grandfather who come from different times. I feel like a lot of the things that are going wrong today in our society is because we have lost the ability to lead with compassion. We have lost the ability to start conversations with compassion. We have been so deep inside of this division for so long that we forgot that we actually need the other half to win things, if you know what I mean. We need the other half to find a middle ground with us so we can get out of this black hole that we're in everything. That's the whole reason politicians became a thing, right? They were people who were good at connecting with others. You need this other half to feel called to what you're saying, and the way that you say it is fucking important. I mean, has no one watched Lion King 2? For the love of God, please tell me you're a Lion King 2 child here. I am one of those, what radicalized you meme? And my answer is this scene in the Lion King 2.
A wise king once told me, we are one. I didn't understand him then. Now I do.
But they...
Them? Us. Look at them. They are us. What differences do you see?
We got to a point where we are verbally abusing people who are on our side because they failed to meet the very high expectations of what a morally superior and righteous person is supposed to act like, speak like, and read like. We are trying to dictate how every single person is supposed to behave and interact with the world. And that is a very dangerous thing to do. Don't control that. If you step out of the internet bubble, you will see that we need a lot more than just canceling people. We need to be able to look at each other like equals. We need to be able to see ourselves in the other person. That's what is lacking. From every corner, from every side. We have lost that ability. Of course, in a perfect world, publishers and readers and book content creators would be putting a lot more emphasis in diverse authors. Not only authors of color, but authors of different backgrounds, different religions, different countries. I am South American. I am Latina. I have never called another person a shitty human being for not prioritizing South American authors. I know the information is not that easily accessible, and I barely read South American authors. I should be doing better as well. I know that I should lead the example if I want to see the change and not shame people into agreeing with me. The issue here is so much deeper than any of us think, and it's really rooted in our anger to have this fixed yesterday. But it takes years, sometimes millennia of activism to actually change something in our society. We are so blinded by this anger and this shame and this lack of empathy that when we approach a new reader, who could be the reason someone else reads diversely tomorrow? We are fucking everything up. And then this internet bullying and dictatorship started developing inside of these book bubbles, right? The book talk bubble, the booktube bubble, the bookstagram bubble, where people feel entitled to tell you what you should and shouldn't be reading. And I feel like I have to agree with our Goodreads commenter. Can you really shame someone into doing anything? Have you guys ever been successful with that? And like, who are we to be telling people what they should and shouldn't be reading? We also come into a very steep territory here, if you want to get really technical about it, about problematic authors. Do you know how many of our favorite classic authors were problematic? I mean, I'm a huge Alice in Wonderland fan, and as far as I know, Lewis Carroll was a pedophile. So does that mean that every single person who loves Alice in Wonderland agrees with the author's worldview and everything he stands for? And I know this will open a huge can of worm about the separation of the art and the artist, and I think that that is two completely different things when the author is still alive and when the author is no longer alive. We live in a very complex world. I mean, do you know the morals and value of every single person you come across with? Do you know where your money is coming from? The person you work for, your boss, do you know who they voted for, what they believe in, the owner of the supermarket that you're shopping at? I really wish to believe that we could choose where our money is going to, every single penny of it. But in this society, we can't even choose where it's coming from. People gotta eat, people gotta pay the bills, people gotta keep going. Does that mean that we should stop trying? No, of course not. Two things can be true at once. For the love of God, please find that reason again. I beg you, internet, please find the possibility. I know that there's not much space left there in that goldfish brain. I really know it's hard. You gotta rearrange things. You gotta move things around. But two things can be true at once. Realities can't coexist and merge. You know, you can have multiple opinions. Oh, who could have thought? You know, so does that mean that we should stop fighting to try to make the world a better place? No, never. Should we actually boycott companies and places and move our money around to show them what we care about? 100%. Should we speak with our money and with our votes? Yes, please make sure that you're registered to vote. If you're not registered to vote in your country, whatever country you're in, then I don't want to talk to you. But I do think it's time that we start approaching other people with a little more compassion. Because whatever we are doing right now in all fronts of this debate, politically, personally, and around book content, social media, it is not working. Can you tell it's not working? Because I can. We can vote, we can lead with respect and example. And if we are preaching for diversity, we should read diversely. And if you decide to not support an author and a company or a service for X, Y, and Z reasons, I'm right there with you. I think it's incredible, and I think you should make moves in your own personal life that will stand for what you believe in, that will make sense for you, that matches your values and who you are as a person. And if you would like to convince someone to also remove those authors, those services, those companies from the equation of their own life, you should lead that conversation with compassion and understanding, and not the severe judgment that you've been meeting people with over and over again, because it's clearly not working anymore. And if you need to be yelling at someone for the lack of diversity in our literature today in 2025, how about you start with the publishing houses? How about you start yelling at the publishing houses for only investing in what you show them you will buy? Anyways, how do you feel about this whole ordeal? I would love to hear your point of view in the comment section down below. Hash it out respectfully in the comments if possible. I can't wait to chat with you when this is uploaded, and let me know if I'm canceled or not. Is there a way that you guys can send me like a in the mail a letter? Hey, you are canceled. Put the camera down. See you later. Just let me know. You know, an email will do. A text. I'm okay with either. A phone call. A quick 10-second phone call. Hey, you're canceled. Goodbye. Anyways, thank you for watching this entire video if you made it all the way to the end. I hope that I made sense, and I hope that I was able to show the nuance in this conversation. I feel like we lack nuance, but also we lack honesty in a lot of the things that are being put out, and we also lack people who are willing to have the conversation. I see a lot of book content creators and book people in general who just are terrified of even touching this subject and even sharing what they think, and they'll never share what they think, and they'll just keep, you know, mindlessly reviewing the same romance novels for the rest of their lives, and nothing's going to change, and we're never going to face these conversations. And that's why things are the way that they are, because we are too scared to do anything about it, and we are also too scared to start conversations that we should be starting, that we should be having. And I don't know, that's how I feel about this whole thing. How do you feel about this whole thing? Anyways, thank you so much for watching all the way till the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Tea time out.